Hey everybody, it's Tasha, and this is my recap and review of Arrow Season 6, Episode 5, Deathstroke Returns. So I've said it before, and I will say it again. I love a good villain, and Deathstroke has always been a favorite. So to have him back is great, but there is nothing more enjoyable than when we get to see behind the mask. Manu Bennett in the role of Slade is perfection because him and Stephen Amell play so well off each other, and the characters have such a complicated history. I mean, to work with the man who killed your mother after he went crazy is messy, but it's even worse when you're the reason he went crazy in the first place because you stabbed him in the chest and pumped him full of some drug that you hoped would save his life, only to turn around and try to murder him. Actually, when you say it like that, complicated is kind of an understatement. Anyway, this week we get the first part of a 2-part episode arc. So I'm just going to jump right into it. This episode follows up on the phone call that disrupted Felicity dessert, and we see that Slade has returned to Star City after his National Treasure level world travels in search of his son Joe, who's a spy. He has managed to track his son to a prison in Kaznia, and he's looking for a diplomatic Oliver to use his mayoral clout to help him get to Joe, who is now going by the alias Kane. Oliver struggles with the decision to go with Slade because he's afraid that he's going to break his word to William, but after a heart-to-heart with Felicity, he makes the trip. The plan is for Oliver to go into the prison with $50,000 to buy Kane's freedom. But when Oliver gets there, he's told that Kane is dead. This turns out to be a lie. In reality, Kane was taken by a group called the Jackals, who plan to torture him to obtain state secrets. When Slade gets this news, it awakens the beast. He pulls out his Deathstroke garb and he sends Oliver home to his family. Oliver, of course, argues, throwing a little shade and telling Slade that he's getting old and out of practice. But Slade drugs him. He doesn't want Oliver to be a part of this. Slade manages to track down the Jackals, goes in, wrecks shop. That action scene was absurdly comic book and so much fun. Only to find out that it's one of his own contacts who's leading the crew. But then we get another twist and we see that Kane isn't actually a prisoner. He's a member of the group. So it should be really interesting to see where they go from here, because Oliver, who of course didn't listen and followed Slade to the Jackal's location, gets captured by Baby Wilson, who obviously wants his pound of flesh from Oliver for locking up his father. I see that they are really following through on the father-son relationships and the theme of family this season. While Oliver is off infiltrating secret layers, the team is facing their own problems because Vigilante is back in action and the team can't focus all their resources on catching him because Agent Watson is still on the hunt and she's getting closer with each passing minute. She spends this entire episode interrogating different members of the team. Side note, I know a lot of people have an issue with this character. A lot of people hate her. They think she's too dogged and blunt, but here's why I don't. I took a moment to step back from my love of Team Arrow and assess this from an outsider. As far as the city, the cops, and the feds know, the Hood became the Arrow, then the Arrow, who was Roy, died. But not before he created a legacy that connected to Canary, Arsenal, Black Canary, Speedy, Green Arrow, and Spartan. Arrow in any iteration is someone who is working outside the law. Trying to do good, yes, but still technically a criminal. And because he's gotten away with it, it has created a trend of people thinking they can do whatever they want. And not all of them have noble intentions or methods. And that's shown by Vigilante, who is just out here straight shooting people with his never-ending supply of bullets like this is Rambo. So while Samantha may be abrasive, I can see a valid reason why she would think that taking down Green Arrow would be a great step towards ending vigilantism. Now back to Vigilante, whose sole goal this episode is to murder the councilwoman who put forth the bill to outlaw vigilantes. Dinah manages to corner him and break his visor to reveal none other than Vincent Sobel. I did a video predicting this about a month ago, and I'll link it at the end. So I'm a bit disappointed since I was really hoping for it to be a season 1 character that was actually mentioned in episode 3. We essentially spend the rest of the episode with Dig trying to talk Dinah down because she is enraged that her partner, the man she loved, has become this monster. Everything comes to a head when the councilwoman decides to give an interview at a local news station and Vigilante attacks. Dinah manages to avert the attack and they finally talk. We find out that the same way Dinah has gained her new abilities from the particle accelerator, so has Vincent. He is now basically bulletproof. So thanks a lot, Harry. But in the end, she lets him go. So with the hope that one day she might be able to reach him. So this was another solid episode. Arrow is on a steady path leading into the crossover. And I'm sure that once that's over, things are going to get real. My only big negative for this episode was the Vigilante reveal because it had so much buildup. We have been waiting since last season, all for it to be a character that we, the audience, have absolutely no connection to. I'm also reasonably sure that it's not even the same actor who played Vincent last season. I wanted to feel something with this reveal, but I didn't because the only connection is through Dinah and an episode worth of flashbacks. That being said, I really liked everything else. Samantha is not playing games with these vigilantes, and she is not here for them trying to play her for a fool. She's not going to ignore what's right in front of her. Also, can I just say that if Vigilante wants to do good and root out corruption, he isn't exactly endearing the hearts and minds of the citizens of Star City to the cause by murdering people. Just saying. Also, can I take a minute to gush about Slade? I love him. He killed Moira. I'm still bitter about it, but my heart warms every single time he calls Oliver kid. Plus, him giving his mom murdering, sister kidnapping, city destroying stamp of approval on Felicity and her brilliance was thoroughly amusing, especially considering he held a sword to her throat and threatened to kill her. And speaking of Felicity, I really am enjoying the family dynamics they are building with her, William, and Oliver. She just strolls in and is like, hey, how's the math? I'm going to go give your dad a pep talk and then we can totally do equations. We also got a Diggle Felicity moment, which I love because they're OTA. And even though I've come to enjoy the newbies, they're still nothing like the classic. Lastly, I love that William and Oliver have now reached the place where Raiza is basically the grandma who forces you to eat Brussels sprouts, so he calls Oliver to get him out of it. The writers are doing a really good job of weaving together the family storyline with Oliver's mayor storyline and the Team Arrow investigation. So, what did you guys think of the episode? Are you looking forward to more Slade? And are you hoping as much as I am that we touch on the Diggle drug storyline next week? I know it's not an addiction-focused story, but we haven't addressed it in the last 2 episodes, so I'd like to see at least one scene that hints at it.